The Soviet Union's secret projects. The Soviet Union carried out numerous secret projects, many of which were only revealed after the Cold War. These projects spanned military, space exploration, biological, and psychological fields. Here are some of the most fascinating and infamous secret projects. Dead Hand, the Doomsday Machine. The Dead Hand was a secret Soviet nuclear retaliation system created at the height of the Cold War in the 1980s. Its purpose was to ensure a Soviet counterstrike in the event of a full-scale American nuclear attack, even if the Soviet leadership had already been eliminated. How did the Dead Hand work? The system was a semi-automated nuclear retaliation mechanism that would activate under specific conditions. Sensors monitored signs of a nuclear strike, such as seismic activity, electromagnetic pulses, and the loss of communication. If these indicators suggested a full-scale nuclear attack, the system first checked whether the Soviet leadership was still operational. If no confirmation was received from the highest military and political leaders, e.g. from the Kremlin, the system would automatically launch a nuclear counterstrike. Why was it created? The Soviet Union feared that a surprise American attack, First Strike, could completely destroy its military leadership, leaving no one to order retaliation. The Dead Hand ensured that even in the final moments, a nuclear response would still be launched. This effectively created a doomsday machine, reinforcing the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. Does it still exist today? The exact status of the Dead Hand remains classified, but some sources suggest that a modernized version of the system still exists in Russia. While the Soviet Union collapsed, the Russian military has never officially announced the deactivation of the system. Ekranoplan, the Soviet Union's secret flying ship. The Ekranoplan was a unique Soviet development that functioned as a hybrid between an aircraft and a ship. These vehicles were designed to fly at low altitudes above the water's surface, utilizing an aerodynamic phenomenon called the ground effect. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union secretly developed these crafts as fast and difficult to detect military assets. What is the ground effect? When an aircraft flies very close to the surface of water or land, a cushion of air forms between its wings and the ground. This increases lift and reduces drag, allowing the aircraft to travel faster while consuming less fuel compared to conventional airplanes of similar size. The Ekranoplan exploited this effect to achieve high speeds with remarkable efficiency. Why was it a secret? The Soviet Union developed Ekranoplans primarily for military purposes. They were faster than warships and less vulnerable to radars and submarines. If deployed in combat, they could have rapidly transported troops and weapons to conflict zones, all while being difficult for traditional air defense systems to counter. Types of Ekranoplans: KM, Caspian Sea Monster, the first and largest test model. Lun class, a smaller, combat-ready version equipped with nuclear-capable missiles. Ulyanok, a smaller transport variant designed for troop deployment. What happened to the Ekranoplans? After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the projects were abandoned, and Ekranoplans were never mass-produced. The last operational model, a Lun-class Ekranoplan, is now displayed in a Russian military museum. However, the concept still lives on, and in recent years, Russia has shown renewed interest in similar technologies. The Ekranoplan was a one-of-a-kind Soviet military innovation, far ahead of its time. Although it was never fully deployed, it clearly demonstrated the lengths to which the Soviet Union went in developing secret and groundbreaking projects to maintain military superiority during the Cold War. Biopreparat, the Soviet Union's secret biological weapons program. Biopreparat was a top-secret Soviet biological weapons program established in 1973. Officially, it operated as an institution for pharmaceutical and medical research, but in reality, its purpose was to develop deadly biological weapons that could be deployed against the United States and its allies in the event of war. In 1972, the Soviet Union signed the Biological Weapons Convention, BWC, committing to the prohibition of the development and use of biological weapons. However, it secretly continued its research and created Biopreparat, a network of classified laboratories dedicated to biological warfare. The objective was to develop biological weapons that were highly infectious and deadly resistant to existing vaccines and treatments, capable of wiping out populations and military forces. Many of the Soviet Union's top scientists worked on these projects, often without fully knowing the true nature of their research. Biopreparat mainly experimented with highly transmissible and lethal pathogens, designing them for efficient deployment as biological weapons. Anthrax, Bacillus anthracis, one of the most important bioweapons due to its high lethality and ease of aerosolized distribution. Smallpox, variola virus, the Soviets enhanced one of the world's deadliest viruses to make it even more lethal. Ebola and Marburg viruses. These hemorrhagic fever viruses were tested as potential bioweapons. Plague, Yersinia pestis, a modernized version of the disease that killed millions during the Middle Ages. Tularemia, Francisella tularensis, an extremely infectious bacterium intended for military use. These weapons were designed for rapid spread and mass extermination of enemy forces, while Soviet citizens would be protected through vaccination programs. Biopreparat was one of the Soviet Union's most terrifying secret projects. Scientists experimented with deadly viruses and bacteria that had the potential to cause global pandemics. Although the official stance is that the program was shut down, many fear that the knowledge and technologies developed through Biopreparat still exist, posing a potential risk to global security even today. Liquid fear. The Soviet Union's secret psychochemical weapons. Liquid fear was a code name used for the Soviet Union's secret psychochemical research. During the Cold War, the USSR didn't just develop biological and nuclear weapons, but also experimented with psychoactive and mind-altering substances designed to manipulate the enemy's mental state. These weapons were intended to be deployed chemically or biologically to drive enemy soldiers and civilians insane, paralyze them with fear, or send them into a state of total panic. The goals of Soviet psychochemical research. Soviet scientists aimed to develop substances that could induce intense fear and paranoia in victims, cause hallucinations or delusions that cripple decision-making, prevent rational thinking, rendering enemies unable to fight effectively, trigger total psychological breakdown, potentially leading to mass surrender. These weapons would have been perfect for warfare strategies where the enemy could be defeated without direct combat. Secret Soviet laboratories. Several top-secret Soviet laboratories and military institutions were dedicated to the development of psychochemical weapons. Among the most significant were Laboratory 12, KGB Special Biochemical Division, one of the KGB's most feared units, responsible for creating lethal poisons and mind-altering drugs. SERI, Soviet Experimental Research Institute, a research center studying the military applications of psychoactive substances. Were these substances ever used? While official information is scarce, some reports suggest the KGB may have used psychotropic substances during secret interrogations. The Soviet military tested these chemicals in warfare simulations. In the 1980s, during the Soviet-Afghan War, Soviet forces allegedly deployed unknown compounds against the Mujahideen, causing severe psychological effects. What other Soviet secrets are still hidden? Many of the Soviet Union's secret projects remain a mystery, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want a part 2, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments which Soviet secret project you find the most interesting or what other topics you'd like to see covered. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.